Tonight, the child of an Australian rock star murdered. Angry Anderson's son Liam bashed to death in a Sydney park. It took 5 police officers to tackle the man. Detectives say killed him. The dirty secret hiding in a quiet suburb. How police discovered a multi-million-dollar drug lab connected to the deaths of 2 young Australians. A family home destroyed by an out-of-control car. The driver tried to make a quick getaway. We speak to the neighbours who pinned him down. Would you spy on your kids at schoolies? Some parents are paying a private eye to keep tabs on their teens. And the Aussies are off to a shocking start against South Africa as the 2 countries face off for the first time since that ugly series that ended in the biggest scandal in Australian cricket history.
This is 10 News First with Lachlan Kennedy.
Hello. First tonight, the son of Australian rock star Gary "Angry" Anderson has been bashed to death on Sydney's northern beaches. 26-year-old Liam Anderson was attacked at Queenscliff early this morning. Police say it took 5 officers and capsicum spray to control the man who will be charged with his murder. And Kimberly Pratt is at Queenscliff. Kimberly, friends and family are gathering there tonight to remember Liam. OK, Kimberly, thank you very much. New South Wales Homicide Squad detectives are on their way to Brazil to help prosecute the man accused of killing Sydney woman Cecilia Haddad. Officers flew out this morning to join Brazilian police in the prosecution case against Miss Haddad's ex-boyfriend Mario Santoro. He's accused of murdering the 38-year-old, dumping her body in the Lane Cove River and then flying back to his homeland, Brazil. Meanwhile, a baby has been taken to hospital after a car backed into a family home, this time in Adelaide. The elderly driver reversed into the lounge room of the Campbelltown unit shortly after 11 this morning. A 2-month-old is being treated for cuts and bruises. Neighbours ran to help the young family after hearing their screams. The driver has been treated for shock. He hasn't announced the election yet, but Prime Minister Scott Morrison is already taking his campaign show on the road. He's boarding the ScoMo Express, his name, not ours, and he's going on a bus tour around Queensland, hoping to get voters in crucial electorates on board with the government. The frantic final days of campaigning are in full swing in the United States. They may just be midterm elections, but here's why they're important. They could see voters abandon the Republican Party in droves, handing the House back to the Democrats and potentially loosening President Trump's grip on power. Now, Hugh Rimmington is in a chilly Washington, D.C. for us. Hugh, you spoke to many Americans today. What would you say is the feeling there?
Now, President Trump will continue his high-tempo campaigning right up to this vote. They will be voting on Tuesday local time. We should have a pretty good idea of the outcome by Wednesday evening, about this time in Australia.
A big few days ahead. Hugh Rimmington in Washington, D.C., thank you very much. Still to come, how some parents are planning to spy on their teenagers at schoolies. A late-night brawl at a service station ends in a glassing attack. And what this British billionaire is promising to do if his horse wins the Melbourne Cup. An elderly nun is vowing to continue fighting for the people of the Philippines, despite just being blacklisted from ever returning to the country where she's lived for the past 27 years. Sister Patricia Fox arrived in Australia this morning after losing her long fight against deportation. An experienced Indonesian diver has died while searching for the passenger jet that crashed near Jakarta last week. Syahrul Anto was looking for the bodies of some of the 189 people who died when their Lion Air flight came down in the Java Sea. It's not clear how the 48-year-old died. His family has chosen to bury him without conducting an autopsy. A week-long funeral has begun in Thailand for the owner of the Leicester City Football Club, who died in a helicopter crash last week. Mr Vichai Srivrad Hanaprabha is being honoured at a Bangkok temple. Leicester City players will attend the ceremony. The 60-year-old billionaire businessman was one of 5 people killed in the crash. And Prince Charles has broken out some fancy footwork. Have a look at him. The 69-year-old joined this impromptu dance party in Ghana, toe-tapping along while playing some percussion. He's on a 5-day tour of Africa with wife Camilla, who unfortunately decided not to join in on the jig. Still to come, how a nationwide Telstra outage allowed criminals to roam free. Plus, the soggy end to this high-speed police chase. And we'll preview the international contenders and pretenders seeking Melbourne Cup glory.
Da 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 da.
They say it's our birthday. Sorry, we can do better.
Da 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 da.
I've got that bit. Studio 10 is turning 5.
Five.
Right.
I'm in shock. Happy birthday, Studio 10.
When's it on?
8:30 tomorrow.
Queensland detectives have charged a man with the murder of a 33-year-old father south of Brisbane. Police were called to a fight between two men at Logan Lee around 2 o'clock this morning. They found one man had been stabbed in the neck. He died at the scene. A 27-year-old has been charged over his death. He's also been hit with 2 counts of serious assault after allegedly spitting in the faces of 2 female officers. He'll appear in court tomorrow. International contenders for this year's Melbourne Cup have been put through their paces at a track work session today. 11 horses from the Northern Hemisphere are hoping to take home the trophy from Australia's most famous race. The stakes are so high, one owner is promising to strip off if his horse wins. Oh, well, it does promise to be a colourful race, doesn't it? It's time for sport now with Emma Lawrence. And Emma, let's put this nicely. It hasn't been a great start to summer for our Aussie cricketers.
It's a very nice way to put it. And there really was so much optimism, especially after a tough week off the pitch. Excitement, optimism, we had it all, but so far it hasn't been a great start. Disaster, really, you could call it, because our top order collapsed against the Proteas. In Auckland, Scott McLaughlin turned the tables on his championship rival. And Federer and Djokovic play out a thriller. It's been dubbed the best tennis match of the year. Good evening. Australia's hopes of putting a tough week behind them haven't gone to plan against South Africa in Perth. Altong Lee shot a remarkable 8 under 63 in the third round of the Turkish Open. The world number 50 sunk 5 birdies before this eagle at 10. Big weekend of sport, Lockie, and some drama off the field as well, with American Muscat complaining about who shook whose hand and who didn't. So
you need to do it on camera like this, like real solid, like that.
One.
Like a proper one. Emma, thank you so much. Stay with us. Kate Freebairn has all the weather details next. Tonight's top stories: the son of Australian rock star Gary "Angry" Anderson has been bashed to death on Sydney's northern beaches. 26-year-old Liam Anderson was attacked at Queenscliff early this morning. Friends and family have been arriving at the site where he was killed to pay their respects. A drug lab believed to be one of the biggest in the country has been uncovered in a quiet, semi-rural suburb of Sydney. Police say it's linked to the deaths of 2 people at the DEFCON 1 dance festival. And mums and dads are taking protective parenting to a whole new level. Ahead of schoolies celebrations, they're splashing out some serious cash to hire private investigators to watch over their teenagers. Let's check the weather now with Kate Freebairn. And Kate, I won't ask you about your schoolies. Instead, how did Sunday shape up across the country?
Thanks for that, Lockie. Well, we had some great weather across most of Australia today. It's been perfect for a Sunday. Our capital cities have stayed fine, but not for long. Right now, a large area of rain and thunderstorms is hitting parts of Western Australia and South Australia. That's making its way to the east coast over the next few days, and on its way, it should bring some areas their biggest rainfall in months. Now, that cloud is associated with a series of lows that we can see dotted across the country. That's tapping into moisture from the tropics and dragging it down. down. Now, ahead of this system, hot air is still filtering into Queensland and northern New South Wales, and that's bringing much warmer than average temperatures. Today it reached 31 degrees in Brisbane with a sunny 24 in Sydney. Melbourne got to 19 with a warm day in Canberra and Adelaide too. Both cities got to 29 with showers just hitting Adelaide right now. And looking to the west, Perth reached 22 degrees and we had very hot conditions through the middle of the country. Alice Springs hit 40 degrees. Well, looking at tomorrow, a wet start to the week across the southern half of the country.
That is great news. Kate, thank you so much. That is 10 News First for tonight. I'm Lachlan Kennedy on behalf of the news team. Thanks for your company. Have a great night and a great week ahead too.